Good morning, everyone. We are back on Logic Apps Live with July 2025. Where did the year go? It's like it's been a while. So today we have Kent Divya joining us, and we also have a special guest, Arjun, from our engineering team. So he's joining directly from Redmond and is going to be doing some cool demos for us. Kent, can you go to the agenda? So, as usual, we're going to highlight our ACE Aviator for the month of July. We're going to be talking a little bit about community updates, some of the new stuff that is coming, and then we're going to talk about SRE agents, custom MCP servers, and Python code interpreters, right? So we have like a full agenda with a whole lot of new stuff. But let's start with the ACE Aviator of the month. So the Ace Aviator of the month is this year is Sahim. He's chief consulting officer. Uh, uh, no, sorry, he's not the chief consulting officer of Black Marble. That's my bad. He's working on another company. I'll have to fix that. So Sahin has been working a while. He's did a lot of updates and a lot of blogs on our on Logic apps, right? And be always quite connected with the integration world. So when I asked him about why he likes to join the community, he said like over the past years there are lots of occasions when they come with a solution that was for a problem that I couldn't find online, and he goes and try to find those things online all the time, right? So when he doesn't find that, documenting that approach is a way to save a lot of time for other people. So like taking from the community, but also bringing back to the community is super important. When I ask him like why, like what would be something that helping to start, or like a tip for anyone starting on Steam and on IT in general, one thing that I think resonates with all of us is like we don't know everything, right? Start doing, start experimenting. That's how we learn, and that's why the community is so important, because that's where you're going to find out when things works or not, like how to get some of those informations out. And the usual, if I had a magic wand, right, he would like to see all different tiers and more tiers for Logic Apps Standard. So he's all about how to improve even more the performance of Logic Apps on top of the things that we already do in code, having like a better list of of skills would help him to fine tune for each one of those applications. If you wanted to know more about him, you can go to Logic Apps Aviator July 25, and then there you're going to find his right title. Sorry about that. I'll copy the title on the comments soon. What we have in terms of community updates today. The first one is Nordic Integration Summit is starting to get close. It's probably 3 months away, right? So it's going to be on the 21st of October. And the first session, the session in 2024, the conference in 2024 was super well reviewed. Everyone loves. I think Kent was there, so saw some of that at the firsthand. And this year, both me and him are going to join the conference. So if you wanted to know more, if you wanted to start buying tickets, because all the early bird tickets already went out, right? And then this has a good chance to sell out quite fast. You can go to nordicintegrationsummit.com. Something to keep in your minds. We planning another Logic Apps Community Day for 2025. So we working on details, but I wanted to make sure that you keep an eye on the Azure integration blog, because we're going to be putting some more details coming soon. And again, like last year, we wanted to be from the community to the community. So we're going to be putting call for content for people to start collaborate. Discussing that with the Kent yesterday and with the some of the PMs this week, we're thinking that's like there's nothing more actual than the crossroads between logic apps and AI, right? So we probably that's going to be the theme of the community day. Bring your best use cases for agent loops for all the components that we use in logic apps and AI together, and let's make a really good showcase about that. And the Integration Love Story has a new podcast, and this one is about Tivia and how like what she's working on and how she fell in love with integration. Divya, do you want to give any sneak peeks about what they can find there? You're still on mute, Divya.
Okay, can you hear me?
There we go. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, okay. I didn't realize we had this slide here, Wagner. I would. It's a short video, and it was more fun and just in terms of like talking,
hmm
not just integration, but also about my dogs. So yeah, feel
that's
free to
awesome.
watch it and have some fun as
Mhm.
well.
Is on my list for this weekend. And I know there's like one spoiler is with you can confirm that working with agent tools, agent loop is addictive.
Yeah, yeah, that's the hook.
All right. Um, and I think it's the next one. Do you want to take that one, Kent?
Yeah, sure. So this was something that we released just in, I guess, mid-June, late June, and we've actually run this successfully in Calgary, where I'm from. So we had a partner involved and some of the local field team where we got together and went through a hands-on lab experience where people had the opportunity to go ahead and build their first AI agent and to be able to do that in Logic Apps using Agent Loop itself. And so, what the lab involves is building an IT support agent. I think something that we can all relate to. And in this case, that would be based upon interactions with ServiceNow. So we had gone ahead and provisioned basically a demo, a free sort of trial version of ServiceNow, and then have the ability to go ahead and build all of those related tools and then orchestrate an operations process. So there's a ton of new things that are happening around Agent Loop. I suspect we'll probably hear more about that in next month's edition, but we'll be updating this lab to include all of the great new features that are coming down the pipe as well. But feel free to go ahead and take a look. Here's the AKA link. It's basically on our Logic Apps Live property, labs property rather. And yeah, we provide you step by step on how you can go ahead and build your first AI agent using Logic Apps.
Awesome. And I think that closes the community news. Yeah. So all
Yeah, I
yours,
think
man.
so. Sure. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about SRE agents. Now, if you were at Integrate, perhaps some of this is a little bit duplicative, but that's okay. So SRE Agent, for those of you that haven't heard of it, is a new AI-powered incident management and resource optimization service inside of Azure. So this is very much an Azure concept where you would go ahead and provision a resource that would be an SRE agent resource. The next step is you would go ahead and associate any of your resources that you're interested in into a particular grouping. And that's really what you would do in this manage resources tab that we do see here. Then what happens is that this SRE agent is going to help you with both proactive and reactive incident management and also best practices. So you can see on the screen here we have a thread, and that represents a particular alert that's been fired in Azure Monitor for one of those resources that you've pre-configured. Then what's going to happen is this SRE agent is going to go ahead and automatically do some level of triage, by looking at different log sources, looking at different metrics, looking to see if there's been any sort of change history that's taken place, and then providing you recommendations on how to best resolve this. And so this is great, right? You can kind of think when we think about integration, most people have probably been on the other side of a support case, where it's the middle of the night where you've got critical data and things aren't moving and you need to get things working. And wouldn't it be great to have a buddy that would go ahead and do a lot of this investigation for you, provide you some recommendations, and even ask you if there's different steps or actions that you would like to go ahead and complete in order to try and resolve it. And so that's the vision. And so this is out in basically a gated private preview or gated public preview. So you can go ahead and fill out this link here if you're interested in access. And what I wanted to show you here was just a little bit of some of the basics of how SRE Agent works. But then what I'd love for you to think about is like, how does this then apply to integration? And how would you go ahead and use this from an integration perspective? So I do want you to think about that. And then what we do have is a online form that we'll post, and we'd love to meet with you and get feedback both from a Logic Apps perspective, but even from an Azure Integration Services perspective as well. So here, I'll just narrate this demo here. So I'm in basically SRE Agent inside of Azure, and I've gone ahead and performed a resource mapping. So I go ahead and I select a subscription and basically a set of resources. And then what will happen is I'll have this graph that is created automatically for me. And what it is able to go ahead and determine is the initial health of that particular resource. And obviously we can start to see a dependency chain there as well. The next thing we'll look at is, because I had API management as one of my resources as part of that mapping, it will now go ahead into Azure Monitor and look for any alerts that basically have taken place that are related to my set of resources. So what it's gone ahead and done is basically detected this and started a thread, and also automatically acknowledged this initial alert saying, hey, something's being looked at. And so here it's going to start to do some investigation. And this is obviously very important. This would normally take people a lot of time. And it would also assume they know exactly where to look. Because this is Azure and kind of we understand as Microsoft how Azure is built, we can go ahead and provide this guidance on how to go ahead and sort of figure out the root cause. Now, in this case, what's happened is that we've got a spike of traffic that we're not expecting. And the SRE Agent is going to give you two hypotheses that are backed by a specific confidence interval that will then sort of give you some indications of what's actually happening here. Now, based upon the research that's taken place, it does feel like this is a bit of a noisy alert situation where it's probably innocent and that we don't have actually any issues, but we should probably go ahead and tweak that alert. So you might be thinking, well, how valuable is that for me? But the alternative is you could have spent a lot of time yourself, coming to that same conclusion versus the agent actually coming to that conclusion for you. Now, we can also ask for best practices. So in this case, I can go ahead and give the name of a resource. In this case, it's going to be a Logic app, and say, hey, go ahead and look at what are the best practices from a configuration perspective. Now, in this case, it's going to identify that we are using an older version of TLS, and we should go ahead and upgrade that. Now, it's also going to go ahead and offer the opportunity to go do that for us. So we don't have to manually go to all of these different resources. We could simply go ahead and click the approve button. Now, in this case, it's not going to go rogue. This is very much a human in the loop experience where we are in full control and we can approve or deny those specific changes. But the bottom line is that it can actually go ahead and identify those opportunities for us. Now, that was more on the reactive side where I'm asking, but we also have scenarios where it can be more proactive. So when I initially set this configuration up, once again, it went through all of my different resources and it said, hey, you're using Service Bus here. And as part of your Service Bus namespace, you do have key-based authentication enabled, and that's not a best practice. You should be using things like managed identity. Now, what it's offering here is, once again, the ability to go ahead and automate that for me and take care of disabling the key-based authentication. And so in this case, once again, I'm the human in the loop, and I will have the control to go do that because maybe I want to do that, but I don't want to do that now. I need to go through a change board process before I can do that. But once I've got that approval to proceed, I can click a button, it'll take care of it for me as well. So that's a huge opportunity as well. So these are a couple of the out-of-box scenarios that we will be able to provide. And we're working on additional out-of-box scenarios as well. But there's also this opportunity around extensibility. So naturally, there's going to be things that are broadly applicable to customers, and those are the use cases that we're going to really be focused on. Then there's going to be this subset of use cases that are very much organizational specific. And this is where extensibility comes into play, where we as Logic Apps feel that we can offer a great platform to help customers with the automation of these additional use cases. And so when we think about Agent Loop and the upcoming support for A2A, so that's a little bit of a spoiler, but that also will allow you to plug in Logic Apps Agent as part of the SRE agent ecosystem in order to go ahead and do handoffs to another agent that can go ahead and do more organizational specific things for you. Now, another opportunity is also MCP servers, and that would be another extensibility point where maybe you've gone ahead and built out different tools like communicating with ServiceNow or sending emails, and you want to be able to expose that to an SRE agent as well. So those are sort of two extensibility areas that we're actually focused on. So what we'd love to do is we'd love to take the opportunity to meet with you and actually get more of your requirements. So if you want to go ahead and fill out this short form, we've just got some initial questions about your operational processes for both Logic Apps and Azure Integration Services, and what are the areas that we can actually provide the most value to you. And also invite you to go ahead and have a deeper chat and learn more about your use cases and get feedback on our initial investments. So please go ahead and fill out that form if there's interest. And Divya or myself would be happy to follow up with you and have another conversation. All right, so we talked about MCP briefly. Now let's talk a little bit more about this. So this is super exciting. This is a sneak peek. This is something where it's not out just yet. We do anticipate in the near future this will be available. But we wanted to take the opportunity to share a little bit of our vision, and Arjun's going to go ahead and show a demo here shortly as well, about how you can go ahead and build custom MCP servers through API Center and Logic Apps. So just to level set here, for folks that may not be familiar with Model Context Protocol or MCP servers, you can look at it as an open standard that defines how applications provide structured, machine-readable context to AI models. So if you think about building an AI agent, that agent has a model that's associated to it. You know, it can do a certain amount of things on its own, but where there's more value is when you start to create tools that can be plugged in to your agent to go ahead and fulfill specific actions or tasks on behalf of the agent. And that's really what we're talking about with MCP tools. So you can kind of think of it as a USB-C port or bridge for AI that allows you to plug in these different connectors using a unified protocol that just allows for a lot of interoperability. So regardless of what platform you are using for AI agents or even for building tools, if you build those tools that conform to the MCP protocol, then you will have this interoperability. Now with Logic Apps and our very large library of connectors, this becomes a great platform for creating MCP servers. And that's something where we want to enable you to do that quite quickly, you know, and to be able to rapidly build out these different servers. But the next question is, okay, once I've got these servers created, how can I go ahead and discover those across my enterprise? And that's where API Center comes into the mix, where API Center allows you to basically catalog and provide some governance around your APIs. And what they've been working on is how to extend that to MCP servers as well. So our friend from the API Center team, Julia Casper, she did put out a blog post as of yesterday, which you can go ahead and find on our tech community blog, that talks a little bit more about their strategy. And as Logic Apps team, we really want to participate in the ecosystem that they're building. And so we've been working on some integration with them that allows you to go ahead and quickly provision a MCP server that's backed by Logic Apps and our connectors, and make that available inside of their actual registry. So we've got Arjun, who's an engineer on the team, who's joining us here today. So thanks, Arjun, for joining. So he's one of the engineers that's actually been working on this particular project. So we've got some great insights right from one of the engineers building this, and so he's going to take us through a demo here. So Arjun, maybe if you want to just briefly introduce yourself, and then we'll get you to share your screen and take it away.
Yeah, sounds good. So my name is Arjun Chiddarwar, and I'm a software engineer in the backend side of Logic Apps. And lately, I've been working on implementing model controls protocol for Logic Apps backend, so you can build your Logic app as a remote MCP server on HTTP. And we support both SSE as well as streamable HTTP. And we are all up to date on the latest API version of MCP as well. So once we release this, it will be like all good from get-go. All right, let me share my screen and let me know when you see it.
Wagner, we might need you to swap screens if you can.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the Arjun to share the screen first.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, okay, sorry, this is a little new interface for me. All right, okay, I think this is the one. Do you see my portal window with API-C?
Yeah, just said it.
Okay, awesome. Cool. So this is the API Center resource called Arjun API-C in Azure portal. And we'll see how we can create a MCP server from scratch using Logic App connectors. So under MCP tab or blade, you have a new connector here, Logic Apps connector, and we click on register. And it will show you a list of available Logic apps that you can use to host as MCP server. So right now I have 2 in my subscription and I'll use this one. Then you select a connector by clicking add connector. And this interface will be familiar to you if you're using Logic Apps in general. So we have a list of all 1400 connectors, managed connectors here, and all their operations are available as well. So for today's demo, what I'm going to do is add some tools from Outlook connector and then chat with using an AI agent. We'll try to book a meeting room in one of the conference room here. All right, so let's search for Outlook and select some relevant tools. And just heads up, like this entire interface, front end and back end, is coming from dev environment. All right, so I think we will need find meeting times so we can see the availability of the meeting room. We will need get calendar. We will need all the rooms related actions. And I think we need a create event so we can create the meeting request. Yeah, I think that's it. And once you create that, you'll get an interface so you can create the API connection. I already have one, so I'll just use that one. So now you see the connector you have chosen and the tools that you have selected. And you get a chance to configure the tools at this point before you hit save. So in this case, all tool needs some input, right? Either you can provide the inputs or you can let your model or LLM provide those inputs for you. So and description is really important. If you want this description to be customized for your scenario, you can totally update that right here. And for inputs, we have 2 types, optional, and then there's a default parameter. In this tool, there are only optional parameters, so we'll go and add those optional parameters. So if you want to find meeting times, we'll need a start time, end time, meeting duration, required attendees, and resource attendees. Resource attendees is just the meeting room that we want to use. Yeah, I think that should be it for this action or tool. There are no inputs for this one. Room list, we'll let the model choose that as well. in the create event, I think we need to add some tools, parameters here. So these are the default parameters, and these are the optional parameters. I'll add those two optional parameters same here as well, resource attendees and required attendees. Yeah, and if you wanted to override one of the parameters, you don't want calendar ID to come from model because you don't want your, let's say, LM to worry about it. You can just click on user, so you are defining the value, and this will just go with the workflow. So in this case, I'll choose one of my default calendars called calendar, and yeah, I think that's it. Just take a quick look. Okay, that's good. All right, now that our tools are configured, we'll click save. When you click save, it will create the workflows in the Logic app that you selected, and each workflow will be hosted as a tool in your Logic app MCP server. Uh, and then you also register that Logic app as an MCP server in the API center. So, okay, it's registered successfully. We can go to the API center portal and just click refresh. I'm already logged in here. And then we have this new MCP server that we created using the Outlook connector. And you can copy the URL that you can use to connect. And you also show that, what did I say about dev environment? It'll show you the two options. You can use SSE or the streamable HTTP that you can use. And then you can copy the URL if it's different for it. But in our case, the URL is going to be same for SSE as well as streamable HTTP. So we are good to use any of that. All right, now let's go to VS Code where we will try and add that MCP server using the command palette. We'll select HTTP, paste the URL that we just copied on the clipboard. Just use a random MCP server name. Create this in my workspace. All right, so this tool is added. Now this server supports the authorization spec with the latest MCP API version. So the VS Code's MCP client understands that, and it will try to authenticate using the auth specs. We'll click allow, and I'll use my logged in corp account. All right, it shows that it started running and it has 5 tools in it. But okay, sometimes VS Code does not show the logs right away. So I'll just hit restart and maybe we'll just switch to the correct tab. Okay. So we see the 5 tools that we just added. It has discovered those 5 tools, and it is running, right? Now here on the GitHub Copilot chat, just make sure that your option selected is agent and not others. You can choose any of the AI models of your choice. We'll go with Claude Sonnet 4 for now. And I'll just paste the predefined prompt. So I don't have to type it all in. But I'll tell you what it says. It just says find the first availability time slot in the Redmond office for building 18, room number 2730 conference room with my email address and the time. And yeah, let's make it 15. I think that's Friday, so more availability. Between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. is Mountain Time. I want Pacific time for 30 minutes and book it. And we also provide the title for the meeting request. Now let's hit send. Now we'll see that the tools are also configured to, return the error responses. So if it messes up, it will mess up and it will learn on its own example. So right away, it just tries to find meeting times because it thinks like, okay, all the inputs required are like good. Resource attendees is this, but I think this email is wrong, but we'll see what happens.
Arjun,
Yeah,
can you increase the font on VS Code a little bit? Just Control Shift
font.
plus.
Okay, let's see. Can I just click Control Scroll?
I think it's just Control Shift plus.
Control Shift plus. Ah, there you go. Thanks. Is it
Awesome,
better?
man. Thanks. Yeah, a lot better.
Okay. Okay, so we tried to just like find the meeting times. It did not go well. It did not get in times. So it's going to try and get the use other tools like get rooms and find the room information properly. So it can provide the correct identification for the meeting room it wants to book. Okay, it got rooms, got room lists. We'll let it run. Okay, I think that one's wrong as well, but we'll let it learn from its own example. Okay, it figured out that was wrong, probably because error message here says, hey, your ID is invalid. So it got the correct room email. We'll continue with that. All right, he was able to find the conference room. And all right, let's find the meeting times between the window that we are provided for 30 minutes, the attendees and everything. All right, let's continue with that. All right, meeting was booked. I'll share the email once I have it in my mailbox. But until then, let's see what happens on the backend side of Logic App. What's different about the Logic App and why it is hosted as an MCP server. So this was the Logic App that I used, and let's refresh on the workflows blade. So we'll see the list of workflows or the tools that we just created. And once we go in, we'll see all the runs and everything that were just invoked by the. This was a run to create the event. We just ran this. Okay, I think I just got the email as well. It's right here. 15th of August from 8 a.m. to 8:30. The conference room that we selected with the title that we provided. All right, that looks good. So the workflows are exposed as tools. And what makes a workflow as tool? Your workflow needs to have a synchronous request trigger for now. Any request trigger with a response action, yes, that will work. We don't support other types of triggers at this point. We might come back and support other triggers like webhook, etc. in the future. But for now, we are just sticking to request trigger because that's the easiest one for LLM to understand and work with. And if you look at your host configuration in your Query console for your file system of your Logic app, it's the same Logic app. Under wroot, you have the host configuration under host.json. We add the new property under extensions.workflows.mcp server endpoints, which is enabled, set to true. What this does is enables all the MCP server endpoints, and then you can host all the workflows as tools. By default, because security is important, right? So we support OAuth by default. If you want to override, you can do so here as well. We'll probably publish all that information in the documentation once we have it. But yeah, that's pretty much my demo.
Awesome. Thanks, Arjun. I guess one question for you as well. So with MCP servers, there's been a lot of sort of, I guess, noise information out there about MCP servers and authentication. So what have we done on our side to make sure that customers can go ahead and securely go ahead and call these MCP tools?
Yeah, so one of the biggest concerns when MCP was first introduced was security, because you are giving access to LLMs or AI tools to your sensitive information in your surveys and resources. Uh, it's very easy for anyone to get in if you don't have proper authentication authorization policies in place. So we, as Logic App, have a really powerful tool called EasyAuth, which is our authorization and authentication layer. We use the same model for this as well. And when you create the Logic App through API Center, we configure EasyAuth using OAuth 2 for the Microsoft Identity Provider by default. So yeah, the authentication is like super important for us. So we definitely have full support for that.
Yeah, and it was quite streamlined. Like you did see Arjun when he was going through the demo, he did authenticate. VS Code was prompting him to sign in. Obviously, like he signed into the client already, and there's tokens being generated. But yeah, like that's just so important for customers to know that when they're leveraging this, they know that they've got that security in place. So I just wanted to highlight that because I know it's super important for folks as they're building MCP servers from that perspective.
Yeah.
Wagner, if you don't mind just sharing my screen, we're interested in some feedback here as well. And just to recap a little bit of what we just saw there too. So what Arjun was able to do was to very quickly build an MCP server based upon our existing connectors. And all of what he just showed was live, right? There's none of that that was pre-baked. And so that's extremely powerful to be able to go ahead and in this case, build a booking agent, a meeting booking agent in a matter of what, 5 minutes or so, where he was able to select connectors, select some operations, provide some configuration for parameters, and publish that all in one shot. So it is one of those things where existing customers that are leveraging Logic Apps and use our connectors, I'm sure there's a million ideas that come to mind about like, hey, we could use it for this scenario, that scenario, whatever. But that's, I think, part of our core value prop is just how quickly people can go ahead and build these MCP servers. Now, we will also be announcing shortly support for just MCP servers in Logic Apps just generally. So, obviously, we like the idea of going through API Center, but maybe you've got some more complex use cases where you want to mix and match different connectors, things like that. We will give you the ability to expose the Logic app itself as an MCP server. Once again, it needs to have an HTTP request. It needs to have that response action. And obviously, where you've got your trigger schema, having very descriptive descriptions for your payloads and your workflow names are good practices as well.
Mhm.
So if this is of interest to folks, feel free to fill out this survey, and we'd love to further chat with you. Also, I'm happy to provide you with early access as well. Like this is coming in pretty quickly, but the earlier the feedback, the better. So thanks, Arjun, for joining us here today, showing that awesome demo, and
Yeah, good
thanks
to have.
to you and the other engineers that have been working on this. I know we got a new build just this morning, so Arjun was running this build just this morning. So there's a lot of other folks on participating in this too, but it was great to have you on here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Wagner, was there anything else on your side? I know you joined there briefly.
No, I was just going to do a quick comment because it's the first time that I saw that, so sometimes it's news even for us, right, internally. But I found it really cool that you can actually select just the connectors that you want, so you can actually have full control on your tools. I was using some MCP server yesterday, the ADO MCP server, and then realized that's like in VS Code, you have a limit of the tools before the things really started to drag. So that fine tuning of the tools and the ability to get like multiple connectors as a tool set is going to be quite interesting to see what you can do. You'll be able to create workflows without creating workflows, right? Let the agent create workflows, which is crazy interesting.
Yeah, no, we're super excited about this, and hopefully others are as well. But yeah, we obviously feel with our connector library, we have a lot of value to offer customers. So.
Yeah, that was just that.
All right, no, cool. And folks, if people have any questions, do add them in the comment. I think we'll probably have some time at the end to take any questions. So please go ahead and do that. And then Divya, over to you to talk about Python. Were you going to share your screen, or do you need me to?
If you can just share this slide and then I'll share my screen for the demo.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you. So before we jump into the demo, I just want to briefly share with you the capability that I'm going to demo very soon. So this is something that is ready for getting deployed. So coming very soon. Um, Basically support for you to write code in Python and use it in your workflows. Um, we are This will be a new action in Logic Apps, which would allow you to bring your own code, bring your own Python code and execute it. Uh, it is based on Azure Container App Session Pool. So the idea here is that because you are bringing your own code, the code can be untrusted. We want to provide you a sandboxed environment, which is secure and isolated so you can run the code comfortably. And so this is going to be based on Azure Container App Session Pool, which means that you do have to create this pool, session pool, before you can use this capability. And the whole idea here is that you as a developer can, of course, write your own code. But I think the more and more, as we're investing more and more in AI capabilities and talking to customers, uh, something that we have learned is that most organizations deal with data, lots of data, and often when you're building agents, uh, you want to use that data and have agent personalize in that data. And in many cases, right, like for example, your sales data or your data on your inventory, all of this is not a tiny amount of data. And for many customers, this can span to thousands, if not millions, of lines of raw data. And this is where Python is very powerful, where it can process and analyze that data very efficiently. And so the idea is that using this, using the Python code interpreter capabilities, you can make sense of your data spanning, which may be fragmented, which may be a lot of data, and then have your agent use that data to generate more intelligent insights. If you give millions of lines of code to your agent, uh, it is not going to be an efficient process when it comes to token utilization and just in terms of generating insights out of it. So having this action would allow you to streamline that process, where you can aggregate that data and only provide to the agent what makes the most sense. Uh, I'll quickly show the demo, but I think that's where the key power comes in for you to like process this data that can be living in multiple files, aggregate that data, generate charts, generate reports on that data, all backed by your Python code. So let's jump into the demo here. And yeah, before one more last thing, before I jump into the demo, like I said, this is coming soon. So just a few weeks out there. But if you are interested in early access, please reach out to us and we can provide you instructions on how to get access to this feature early. So let's start with the demo here. So what you see here is an Azure Container App Session Pool. So before you get started on this capability, you would have to create a new session pool. And the most important thing that I want to highlight here is that that pool type has to be Python code interpreter, because we want to run Python code. So we want to make sure that that pool is for running Python code. So I'm not going to create a new one here, but I just wanted to show you that that is one thing you need to keep in mind when you create one. When you have a session pool created, you would see after creation that the pool type will be Python code interpreter. And here, like if you quickly come into playground here, what what this interpreter is does is like it can take in your code and of course interpret the code and show you the result, but also it can take input files from you. So that's where um, I will show you some actions, but the idea is that you create the session, provide the input files to the in that session. So here from this UI, you would upload it. Correspondingly, we are providing actions in Logic Apps to upload the files. So this becomes the source of the data for the Python code that you will be writing. If you need the Python code here to generate any output files, that also would be going into the same session. So a session ID is what's going to link everything together. So let's jump into this example here. So what I want to do is I want to build an AI agent here that's going to create a sales report. So the data, the input data for this sales report is this raw data I will be providing in CSV format. Let me just zoom it. a bit. Okay. So what this is a raw sales data, right? And I just have like a few thousands of lines of data here, but you can imagine this to be like millions of lines of data, and you want to probably run some analysis before you hand this data over to the agent to do something else. So for example, in this case, in my raw data, I have sales numbers for multiple regions, for multiple products, and this data is for based on quarters and based on monthly sales. To the agent that I am writing is generating monthly sales reports. So sorry, quarterly sales reports. So we want to aggregate this data by quarter first before we give this data to agent to generate insights on it. So that's what the goal of this agent will be, where these thousands of lines of code, by going through this process of aggregation, can become a few hundred lines of code or even less than that. And then the agent only gets like that versus all of this data. Uh, so here, coming back to our agent workflow, this is being triggered based on a request. And then I have this HTTP action to get the content of the file. So this is the sales data that I was showing you that I'm going to get here. And then comes our agent. So here are the system instructions for the agent. What we are telling the agent is the goal is to generate the sales report and send that report via email. Um, and that the agent will be provided with the raw monthly sales data in a CSV file. So we are asking the agent to upload the sales data in the session pool, extract the aggregated data from that Excel. And in order to do all of these steps, we are instructing the agent to create the Python code. So these are the next set of instructions on generation of that Python code. So in order to generate the code, we do need to let the agent know how that data is organized. So that's what I'm doing here, that after I upload the data in the session pool, it should look for the file with this name. And then here is how the data is organized in the file, uh, different columns and what goes in there. And then we ask the agent to generate the Python code. So like I was mentioning before, the Python action, of course, you can provide your own code, but in this case, we are essentially leveraging natural language to generate that code for us. So here are those natural language instructions to the agent to generate that code. So specifically, I'm telling the agent to generate the Python code that is generated should find this total sales of a product region by quarter. So that's how it will aggregate the data by quarter. And then once the code is generated, it should be passed on to the agent under this parameter. And then finally, we also want the agent to send this report via email. So that's what the last piece of instructions are, to generate insights based on all this data. And in terms of those insights, include any actionable items to improve the sales or to do better supply chain planning in terms of managing the inventory. So let's take a look at our first tool here. So the first tool here is for the agent to upload the data and execute the code. So that's what the description says here, that the purpose of this tool is to upload the sales data and then generate the Python code and execute the Python code. So here is the first, let me first show you what this new action looks like. So here I have so here is what that action group looks like. This is currently called Azure Container App Session. We might rename it to something else, but you'll still see the same set of actions here. So here you will see that the main action here is to execute the Python code. But given that this is an ACA session, we also, and depending on your scenario, you might have use case where you want to provide data for your Python action that you do through upload. If you if if there are files generated as an outcome of your Python code execution, you get them through file download, and you can of course delete uploaded files in the session as well. So here, as a first step, we are using file upload action, and this is the name we are providing to the file. This is, if you remember, this is the name we used in system prompt to tell the agent to use this input data file to do the processing. And the content itself is coming in from the get file action that we are just picking here. Now comes the Python code execution. So here this is uh, using the same session ID that was generated in the previous step, so that all of these steps happen within the context of the same session. But and more importantly, like here, in terms of the code, we are basically using an agent parameter. So what this is means is that as a user, I'm not providing the code. The Python code will be coming in from the agent. And here is the description of that agent parameter. So this is the name, and this is just the description is just the Python code that needs to be executed. The second tool here that we are using is to send the email. And so we essentially give the description to generate the report and have it formatted in HTML, and then use this tool. Again, in this tool, we are using agent to provide the subject based on the purpose of this email, and also body, which will be the generated report. So here I can run this workflow, and meanwhile, let's open the run history here. And since this is still running, I'll show you the run that I've already done before. So here is the agent run. If we look at the agent chat here, we can see all the system instructions, but here are the things that happened, right? So the upload sales data, this tool was executed successfully. And so let's go ahead and look at what happened in here. So here was the raw data that I was showing you before that was provided as an input, and that was uploaded in the session. But let's come to the more important part here. So this is the Python code action, and here is the Python code that was generated by the agent to process that data based on the instructions that we had given. So as you can see, it uses the input file that was provided and then grouping the data provided in the input file based on the quarter. So here is, I think this is the key part of this demo where the agent generated the code, the Python, the action is able to execute that code and is able to generate the output. The raw data is now aggregated, and now we have the sales data based on the quarter instead of months. And that's what you see in the agent chat as well. And finally, the sales report tool was also invoked based on that data. So here, like, the raw data was aggregated, and this aggregated data was then used by the agent to generate this report, which is well formatted and also has insights in terms of the trends by regions, but then also has actionable items like we had asked in our instructions on how to manage the inventory and uh, how to do better marketing. So it's giving some instructions around that. In terms of this is just to close the loop. Here is what, because we asked it to send the email report, this is what the email report was generated with all the details. So yeah, so this brings us to the end of this demo. Like I said, this is a capability coming in soon. So watch out for our announcement. And if you're interested in early access, please reach out to us. Yeah, over to you, Wagner.
Thanks, Divya. We have a question here from Mike. So he is asking if this would be subject to the current size limitations that we have in Logic Apps. I think I'm assuming like that the process of loading the files into the mount, into the file input.
Yeah, so if I think currently we have 100 MB limit in our platform. So from session point of view, you should be able to upload what container app session supports. But if the agent is, if you're doing processing on the data, then the platform limits do come into play here.
Okay. And I think that's the only question that I had on the list here. I don't think there is any other items in our slideshow, right? So that was the last one.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Thanks both of you for joining. It's like one of the things that I love about Logic Apps Live is like we are all so busy that we're not able to share some of those things between ourselves sometimes. So I always have a chance to take a look at what's new together with the public. So it's sometimes Christmas for me as much as for them.
And I would also say that, yeah, like stay tuned to the blog. I have a feeling Divya's gonna have a very busy August with lots of updates. So awesome updates too, really awesome updates. And then I think also September we should have more and more interesting news as well. So folks, stay tuned and yeah, definitely check out our next Logic Apps Live. Watch the blog, and there's tons of great stuff that's coming. Summer hasn't, it feels like there's no one taking summer off over here. So lots of interesting things going on.
That's awesome. And thanks, Arjun, for joining us. It's always really good to have the engineering showing up and sharing some of the back end stuff, like how things are going there.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. That was great.
Let's make this more of a regular appearance than just like special guests. Now you just needed to go and talk to all the other engineers, like how much fun it is.
For sure, yeah.
Cool. And I think that's us for today, pretty much on time. Thanks everyone for joining, and see you guys in the last Thursday of August with, according to Kent, like lots of news. I'm looking forward as well. See you guys later.